on, and I most sincerely apologize. We couldn't hold it tomorrow because of certain things that was circumstances that was beyond our control. But however, we thank God we're alive and we're here again today. We had initially scheduled it to be yesterday, and so, but it's okay. We apologize for that. However, however, today is another beautiful day, and I'm sure where you are fine and staying safe. We're on the third session of this discourse, on this series of discourses on keep the fire of love burning. We talked about love and tried to look at the definitions and just a simple attempt to it, and we understood that love is a universal thing, it's a universal language. It's not particular to any religion. It's not particular to any. It's not particular to any. When I mean not particular to any religion, it cuts across religions, and it's not particular to any culture. It's just life. Love is life. It's at the core of the fabrics of existence, and we also realize that everyone needs love, and whether father, children, and all that. And one interesting thought that was very beautiful in our last discourse is the fact that whether the Greeks classified love as eros, as agapeo, as phileo, but the truth of the matter is that they are all love, just that when you put it in context of eros, when it becomes wrong, getting into it wrongly and all kinds of stuff and all that. But again, it's also a component part of love. Sex is a component part of love, even though it's not generally what love is, but it's part of it, or basically. However, we looked at all that, and it was, we greatly appreciated your comments, questions, and people reacted to it, and we do really since I appreciate all the comments and questions. And then we moved on to talk about you are wired for love. Again, what we tried doing was to keep it, general, basic, so that it accommodates young children, father, mother, everybody. But we understand that when you talk about Lovers' Day, Valentine, we're talking about people that are in a relationship, and more particularly those who are heading to marriage, or those who have married, basically. Because it's interesting that in our world today, everything has been totally, gone this way and the other. And we looked at it, and it was just a kind of general discussion on all of those type of stuff. We looked at the basic scientific fact that people are wired for love, and it was interesting to look at it because it's a scientific fact that our brain responds to love. Animals, pets, plants, and all of that responds to love. Nature, God made all things, to respond to love, because he himself is love, as the Bible says, and he said we are products of love, and then we respond to that. However, today we want to talk about something very interesting, and I'll take a reading first, again from Songs of Solomon, chapter number 3, and I'll read a few verses, and I'd like you to pay attention to the to the tone, the expression of the words that that the lady used in this particular verse. It's Songs of Songs, chapter 3, and we'll look at from verse 1. By night on my bed I sought him whom my soul loved. I sought him, but I found him not. This lady is missing the man's physical presence, and but she also described that her soul is in great love. I sought him. To seek means to search, to intentionally look for something, and that tells you about what love is. Okay, and so she said, continue verse 2. I will rise now and go about the city, in the streets and in the broadways. I will seek him whom my soul loveth. I sought him, but I found him not. There's this restlessness, this unsatisfaction that happens, dissatisfaction, this restlessness, this kind of some sort of not being at peace, not being happy, when you are when you can't find your love. And so she said, I'll go, I'll rise now. Now remember, this is at night. I'll rise now. I'll rise now. This is at night. I will rise now. Okay? So this is at night. You just need to know that love doesn't really, when you are on fire, when you are in love, night or day doesn't count. It's just the person that you love. Your love is what you want, and that's it. And it can cause people to take great risk. I like you to take note of these things that I'm talking, because that will help us when we get into the topic of the day. So I'll rise now and go about the city and in the streets. In other words, I'm going to do when you talk about city and the street, it means it's going to be a serious search. Okay, I'm going to go out. And that's exactly true for those who are in love. When they can't find them, they can go extra miles looking for where has he gone to, where is she, what happened to her. I've not gotten her on phone. I've not been able to, I don't know what had happened to her. Your world seems to collapse. You just want to find a person and be sure that he or she is fine or anything like that. It says, excuse me, he said in the city, in the streets, and in the broadways. So this is total search. In the broadways, I will seek him. Pay attention to that word, seek. I will seek him whom my soul loveth. Not every person, but him. You know, this is a principle of exclusivity. It's just exclusive to this person, not every person. Okay, and so whom my soul love. Okay, and I sought him. So it wasn't talk, she did. And then she said, I found him not. Did she rest? No. She continued, the watchmen that go about the city found me, to whom I said, this was at night, great risk. And then she said, to whom I said, saw ye him whom my soul loveth? Do we know who you love? Why are you walking about at night? Why are you on the streets at night? What's wrong? And all of that. She replied to them, did you find a guy that I love? Well, we don't know him. Okay, even if we know. But that begin to tell you this how rational, you know, love can or cannot be. Sometimes it surpasses the issue of reasoning. Because here now what is going on is passion, is heart. It's the matters of the heart. And then she continued, she said, she asked them, did you see him? You know, this is like asking strangers, asking people, did you see my love? And then they continued, it was but a little that I passed from them, but I found him whom my soul loved. Wow, this would be a silent moment. This lady is narrating her experience. He said, after I passed the watchman, just not long, I found him. Now, but she didn't tell us where exactly found. Was it in the corner? Was it in someone's house? Did he excuse me, was he drinking? Was he hanging out with other guys? What happened? Where exactly? Well, never suggested that to us here. But this was what she said. I found him. That must have been an excited moment. That must have been an eureka moment. And she said, I held him. Oh, that's powerful. I held him. I held him. That could have been an embrace, a hug, and all that, and just held him by the hand, and you know, and it would have been life. Blood pressure came down. All of that stuff, you know, that kind of thing, you know, just came down. She's happy. She's full of joy. Smile she would have been crying. She was in tears before. I don't know. She probably would have tested some people, called some friends, called his friends. Did you see this guy? Did you see my guy? Did you see my babe? All those kind of stuff. Well, I don't know. I've not seen. He hasn't come back to the house. I've been calling his line. He's not available. I don't know whether his network is switched off. I don't know what had happened. You know, it could be. To be honest, it could. It's as frustrating, it's as disastrous as you can imagine. And then this is what she said. She said, I wouldn't let him go. I held him, you know, right now. Wow. Everything is okay. Her world is coming back. Everything is fitting together. Okay. She probably would remember the kids or remember the house, remember that she left the house open and all those kind of stuff. She, you know, things will begin to cross her mind now and begin, okay, she's, okay, oh, wow, well, you are here. I've been looking for you. Maybe she would be a bit angry. Maybe she would say, why didn't you come back? Where were you? You could have told me. All kinds of things, you know. In fact, sometimes, yeah, I could become a quarrel something. But the quarrel is not based on that intended quarrel. It's just based on the love that you put me through a whole lot. I just, maybe not a better way of expressing, you know, all of that. And then she continued. She said, I held him, you know, just grab hold of her. I said, I will not let him go. That's what love is all about. I won't let him go. You won't go nowhere. And then, but we never had any response from the guy besides it. And then he said, until I had brought him into my mother's house and into the chamber of her that conceived me. It seems that this lady is more fiery than even the guy. The guy seems to be the more quiet person. He didn't say anything and all of that. But the lady is just on fire. He's aggressive. He's come on. I just wouldn't let him go. Now, this does not suggest possessiveness. This simply says, I love him so much that I wouldn't want to miss one bit of him anymore. You will go home with me. Yeah. So basically, what are we talking about today? True love in a confused world. True love. I want to talk about true love today. And when you look at this, it sounds to me to a lady who is true. Someone can argue maybe the guy is not true, because maybe that's why he's just dumb and quiet. No, but the truth is that the guy followed her home, and she left an instruction. This is what she said in verse 5. I charge you, O ye daughters of Jerusalem, by the rules and by the hinds of the field, that ye stand not up, nor awake my love till he pleases. This guy, she has just put him to bed, love him to bed. And the guy is sleeping, and he told everybody, please don't make sure you don't wake him up until he wakes by himself. What is that? She desires the best. She wants him to rest, and she just wants to be sure that he's there and he's safe and he's happy. So we want to talk about true love, and in a confused values, ideas, and what I talk about confused world. Is there true love? Does it really exist? Well, people can have different opinions, different things and all that. But again, my purpose in these things is to let you know it should exist, does exist. Even in the midst of all the confusion that we see on the media, whether it's the social media or the other traditional media, and all the stories that go around and all for all ages and all of that. There are a whole lot of conflicting things about this. That there's no more true love. People can say, no, there's no true love. Well, first question is this: what is true love? Well, when we talk about true love, remember we'll talk about love as this spark of fire in your soul that is consuming, that is burning, that is it inflames you totally. It's like an incredible magnet that draws you to that person, and not only that it draws you to that person, but it gives you fulfillment to have that person around, and pleasure and all of that. As I said, sometimes one lady said to me many years ago, and I asked her, what is love? He said, well, I can't really define it for you, but I must be honest to you, it's an indescribable feeling. Sometime in the past I've spoken to you about love, and because love is more than an emotional thing, honestly, and but I look at it from the point of commitment to cherish, to think good, to act good, to speak good to someone whom you are attracted to and who you are drawn to. Okay, so all of that is quite difficult to give one single sentence definition when you look at all the emotional component part of it, your thought part of it, and all of that. But it's okay. The one central thing is that you are drawn to somebody, and that you think and you speak and you act, kindly, favorably towards that person. And you also, the one thing about love, you don't just want to do that, but you also want that person to reciprocate it. You want that person to respond to that love in the same manner for which you're giving that love, and as such, that is what brings the joy and fulfillment. It can be as frustrating and can lead to almost a death issue when you find out that you are doing that and somebody else is not just responding, or is not paying attention, or is giving that your love to someone else. We have all this kind of confusion. So, but when we talk about true love, we are looking at the fact that one is responding to the other person who is giving him or her this kind of attention, this kind of attention in terms of good acts, kindness, words, and company, and all of the best that he wishes and wills and does to that person. And the receiving end responds correctly, appropriately, the same manner, as such that they remain honest and sincere to themselves in doing this, excluding every other person. Okay, so basically that what that means, what that implies that they are in a relationship. Okay, they're in a relationship. In other words, there's an understanding that both of them have agreed to, spend, time together. I'm not talking about marriage entirely, but now they have excluded other people, and their love is focused on one person. What this love is, that spark of fire that it is in your soul that drives your passion, your thoughts, your words, your emotions towards that person, and you're receiving the same back. And so true love would be that you maintain and remain that way over a period of time, and a long time should be, a lifetime also should it be, to that one single person, that you treat that way, you treat that manner, that degree, that intensity, that fire, that you keep it burning for this person. Okay, so basically that's what true love is. And the question is, do we have such things in our world today? Well, some may say fine, and some may say no, not really. Well, the truth is that it does exist. Is it possible that we have many of them? And well, it probably does. But is there, is it compared to the confusing or the confusion all out there? Most probably. Because in these things you have to have a lot of statistics to talk about it. But to be honest, the young generation, a lot of people today believe that it's very difficult and rare to find true love. Reason is because people talk about the games that people play, and I want us to talk about that a bit. Do we really have true love? Yes. Is it possible for such a thing to exist? Yes. Are there a great number of them? Maybe not great, not more to compare to this one. Well, I can't say for sure. Maybe I would like you to suggest, if you do have an answer there, if you have a statistics, that'll be fine for us to look at, respond to it. Well, some may say no, there is no true love at all. Some may say, well, it's usually very difficult because oftentimes people go ahead and they love somebody, and the one you love is busy loving another person, and so you are in great pains and all that. And that brings me to what I call the games. But first, I want to establish that true love does exist. In fact, in the scriptures, there's a man that was on fire like that. He's, apart from this writing on Sons of Solomon, but this story of this lady and this guy. But there is another man that was very, started dating a lady and was crazily on fire. There was interruptions here and there, but the fire never went down. Even to the to the time of the demise of the lady, and in fact the love was even transferred to the sons of the woman, who later became, of course, who was his wife. But they started as friends and started dating, and the guy was crazily on fire. He was willing to take every kind of risk and serve and suffer just to ensure that this lady marries me and all that stuff. It was quite on fire. In fact, the scripture puts it this way, that he served for 7 years for this girl. They cheated him, okay, and then they gave him another 7 years, and he took another 7 years to serve. And this was what the scripture said. The 7 years were like 7 days in his eyes. Boy, that was fire. That was real fire. And that person is no other person than Jacob, one of the patriarchs, one of the fathers of faith, rather, not patriarch, one of the fathers of faith. He was a man of God, but then again, you can see him a man of great passion, a man that fell in love and remained true to that his love. Wow. So true love does exist. Basically, it does exist. The interesting thing about Jacob's own is not that it's not like Joseph, whom they gave a wife. The interesting thing is that he met this girl and fell in love with the girl, and they both fell in love. They started dating, okay, and probably would have got into courting, and they started courting, and eventually, had to work out the marriage processes, which lasted for 14 solid years. This guy was still on fire. It was supposed to be 7 years, okay? And I know people will ask now, how do you deal with courting that is a long courtship and all that and all that? Well, we will answer those questions if we have all that time to deal with it, okay? But first, understand that true love does exist. It did happen in the scriptures, and it still happens in real life. that one can get on fire and remain true to that person for their lifetime, for a long time. Okay? And the whole issue of games that happen today is not true. There are games, yes, but there are still true love. And is it possible to do it? Absolutely, yes. Jacob did it, and a whole lot of other people did it, and surely we can do it. And are you doing it yourself, sir? Yes, exactly. And that's why I'm talking, and that's why I can boldly and confidently say you can remain focused on one person and not take that same passion and share it here and there and get yourself into a whole lot of mess. But is it tough and challenging? Well, let me address something that the basic thing that a lot of people talk about today, which is the game. I like to call it the game. We live in a generation right now, especially the younger generation. In fact, that their view, their perspective of marriage is so wrapped, is so thwarted that one of the young guys asked me one time online like this and said, well, I don't know how we deal with girls, but nowadays it's like a contract. Even marrying will be like, okay, guy, we can just be together, cohabit, anything that comes out of it, but there's no full commitment. I'm not a husband, you and we don't want to get into all that because of ladies kind of, not that they're only cheating, or rather if it's in the Europe or the West, they can take advantage of because of the laws and all that stuff, and you spend the rest of your life paying child support and all that kind of. So many things have come up, and all of these things have begun to weigh strongly on men. And when I listen to the young man, I discover that most young people are totally scared, to be committed to the issue of true love and relationship. Maybe because of what they have heard in news, what had happened to them, the stories and history stories and all kinds of things that go around. And but I just want to encourage somebody, in spite of these things, true love does exist and should be the normal thing. Okay, should be the normal thing. Does exist and should be the normal thing. Is it possible you get it right? Absolutely. But you see, until we begin to talk about it, until we begin to preach it, until we begin to explain that this is the right way to live, this is the right thing, it's possible, it's doable, most people will begin to think that it is not done. And that's the confusion today, because a lot of people are not dealing with it, because we have so much high rates of divorce, high rates of divorce is there because there's no true love. True love has had, there's a problem. That's why you have high rates of divorce. And relationships break here, there, and there. People marry in a couple of days, they are gone. All the game stuff. You see a lady, and she's marrying to a guy, but there's another guy that's still her babe, that pays some bills, that does all that stuff, and that she, pretends to that one, I still love you. In fact, this time now, most guys are not even interested in the love. So they just want to hang out with a babe and have fun with her. And they're also going to have other babes that they are going to discuss with. Now, they know that this one is a married woman. Yeah, they like it. They just want to hang out and have fun and, go ahead, sleep with her. In fact, for them, it's like something like fun to, to do an adventure, going on to play that stuff. And the girls they are not also want to commit to love. They have a man that they say, so that you don't become as if you are totally single and you are not that. At least so you have somebody that you answer his name. Some girls are even putting their name now, so it's not even much a problem. But just that the issue of, especially with this, side of the world, that marriage is still honor. It still had some respect, some value because of our cultural background. So they kind of want to have somebody that is say, well, true, I'm married, but not that they are committed 100% to true love. The thing is that I still have a guy. If he's not there, another guy will be there. And excuse me, sometimes it's more like, my interactions with some young ladies or some people is like, well, you've got somebody who can, help you with other stuffs out there, that you want to travel, you want to go for holidays, you want to, the cars, the things, Just basic thing, material things. They just want to be in that, the trending things. Okay, so they just want to be fashionable. They want to have the trend things. They want to be the happening people, so to say. And sometimes your husband may not want to do all that. They're probably thinking family, thinking that, thinking all that. No, and the other side is also funny. Why that is happening? The other guy is outside there keeping, side chick. So why do you want to kill yourself over one girl? Why like that? In fact, I happen to be, be privy to a discussion, not necessarily part of discussion, because these were, many years ago, these were my elders, and they were talking. And then they weren't married, and I was still in school, and they were talking, and they said to themselves, if I get married, I am not going to be just locked up with my wife alone. He said, the other one said, how can you do that kind of stuff? All these other babes that are there who be tidying them up. Somebody has to, tidy them up. Somebody has to, make sure that they are things, just, moving things. And all three of them agreed on this fact. In fact, the difference was the degree of the game. One said, well, I wouldn't mind bringing any person home if my wife is not around. One said, no, I will respect my matrimonial bed, but at least I will have to hang outside and all that. So the difference was the degree of the madness, how far they are going to go. The point of agreement is so established that you are not going to be tied up with one babe. No. Why? There are many girls out there that somebody need to be taken care of. Wow. I thought to myself, I said, what a crazy world. How are these people thinking like this? Of course, I was thinking from a religious mindset, as a born-again Christian and all that. Well, these guys, you wouldn't say they are not, of course, they are not born-agains, but they are not also pagans, they will say. But the point is, to them, many people today don't think, wow, I'm just going to go out there, stay with one woman. Somebody will say, how can you be doing? In fact, one guy said, how can you be eating only a goosey soup? What of okra? What of, wedu and amala and all those kind of stuff? You have to, come, man. Some will tell you, variety is the spice of life. You have to be going, trying it out, just. So I think it's some kind of madness that the devil has put inside of people's head that I think all this pop culture, media, the negative influence of media, because it seems to be that media has projected more of these things than some sense of single family values, which came from a Judeo-Christian, foundations, principles of running society and all that. But the pop culture, the media have projected anything you feel like you get to do it, and you feel happy. If it makes you happy, just go for it. That kind of stuff. And because of those media culture and the things that they projected and all that, I think you have so corrupted, impacted negatively on the society, that people are no longer thinking as a man, I'm going to stick to one woman and stick to one one man, and we are just going to live together for the rest of our life. I'm not going to cheat on my spouse. I think it would be nice to talk about one day, to say, if you have ever cheated, if you take a survey, if you have cheated on your spouse, lift your hands up. Even in the church. Of course, nobody's going to lift their hand, because everybody's going to be a liar that day. They are not going to say the truth. Otherwise there will be no church that day. It's going to be a war zone. It's crazy. Yeah, but that wasn't what this lady, she's on fire. She's on fire. She's on fire. Wow. What is causing these games? I just mentioned it earlier. The impact of the media culture, the pop culture and all that stuff. But again, not only that, it's not just media. The thing is so bad that even mothers have even begun to push on the same, push that same narrative. Basically, sometimes because of money, the financial issues, the finance has become an issue of serious issue that strains relationship. And is that something that is compatible with love? Is money? Even some ladies will tell you, how can you love someone who doesn't have money? What does that have to do? All right, just okay. The guy loves me, that's fine, but he doesn't have money. That's okay. I can marry him if maybe I married him when I didn't have anybody. But other guys have come along, and we have to just move on. And some believe that, well, I'll get the money and even help him out. Well, because I also want him to, but I just have to play around so that we can have a better life. What exactly do you want in life? Is it somebody singing I love you every day, and then you are miserable and you are wasting with your beauty and the things God have given to you? Come on. Some guys want this and they are willing to pay for it. And so you go for it. And, this has become so strong, entrenched in the minds of people now. So finance has become a very key issue in this matter, as such that it has suppressed what we call true love, as though it doesn't exist. Well, come on, how can you talk about? Come. Are you going to eat beauty? You're not going to eat beauty. You're not just going to eat beauty. You're just going to have fun. Now, interestingly, there are some wild people out there. It might be you want to stay true to your love, but then temptation is here and there. There are people who are just they're all out to ensure that some people don't stay true in their marriage, or their relationship, as the case may be. You know what? They say, man, that girl is beautiful. How can this man have her alone? I think I should have her as well. And they are willing to buy you cars, willing to fly you on a trip to Dubai and anywhere at all, just to ensure that man, come on. How do you want to stay with this guy, It's crazy. It's crazy. Very crazy. So how do you stay true to your love in a world that is wild and crazy? In a world that there's a conflicting, ideology, conflicting thoughts, and all kinds of things that we see in our world today. How do you stay true? How do you stay true? Whether it's cultural, promoted, whether it is the media, whether it is something that is the trend of the generation right now, whether it is because of experiences of people, the guys. In fact, some even may argue that that's also why the ladies have failed, and ladies don't also believe that the men. In fact, it is a natural saying that men are polygamous by nature. They are put it now by nature, not just that is that they are polygamous by choice and intention. They say it's by nature. In other words, men basically want to flirt, want to have more women around them and all that and all that. I don't know how they got all that in their head and who pushed that narrative and lie. Of course, it's the devil, because it's not nature. Why did I say so? God made one man, one woman. That was the nature that God made. God didn't make 5 women and ask Adam, guy, you know what? You can have Eve as your first wife and exclusive, and then the other ones can be side chicks. But make sure that Eve doesn't catch you. It's that kind of stuff. It wasn't that. It was just one person, and then that's it. So it's not by nature. It's the lie of the devil, the narrative that the devil has pushed, on, and then again supported by some, stupid tradition and culture and all that, and all of that stuff, and then that made it that way. So it becomes the issue of, just women say, well, why kill yourself? Why break your head? If you have the opportunity, unless you don't want, some older ones who probably believed in that decent marriage, stay with your spouse, especially those who are married, stay with your spouse until death do you part, do you part. Some don't believe in all that kind of stuff anymore, not at all, not at all. They say, well, if you just want to waste your life in that kind of, because I know that my husband will be cheating. They've not caught him cheating. But they tell you there's no point in me finding or looking for, because if I do, I'm going to find out, and I don't want to give myself that heartbreak, so I don't want to bother. Why? Men are polygamous by nature, so don't bother yourself. That's the way it is. We can as well try, just have some fun, maybe once in a while. Don't break your head over it too much. Now, this is maybe the conservative amongst them. Those who are not the liberal thinking can just move on. You cannot die with one man. That's foolishness. In our world today, it's in fact. One lady asked me, how can you say Jesus never spoke? She didn't say, she said, you have to be careful with Moses and other people. Jesus never said specifically that you shouldn't commit fornication or adultery. It's just, it's a problem that Paul put there and all these other people. And, because this thing is just that. And, okay, how do you talk about true love when your husband lives in another country and you live in another country? And right there, your husband has married to a white lady to get papers, and of course they've had a child, and he's servicing himself, and he has someone to service him, and he takes care of himself, make out, as they say it, and you are here in Nigeria, and he comes back in 6 months or once in a year, and spends only 3 weeks with you and God. How do you stay true to such love? In the first place, did you marry because you love him, or did you marry because you have to get married, because there's a pressure on you to get married from your family, or you marry because you wanted to have some financial support and all that? And because of that now he's there, he gave you a car and a house where you live. So what are the moments when you're on fire, when you're heat? What happens to you? How are you going to go through it? And maybe he came back the last time, there was no pregnancy, never happened. And so what do you do now? How do you stay true? Well, it's such a crazy thing to get into this, talking about staying true to love when you raise these factors all across the board, and when you raise these factors across the board and say, well, my husband is in US, and the guy is having fun there. Actually, he hasn't having fun. What do you do? Jesus, I don't want to get into things that I've heard, and praying and ministering and counseling. No. This is crazy. The question is, was there even a true love in the first place? Oh, that's what I just asked. Or did you get married because you were culture had put a pressure on you that time is going, you've got to get married? Or you just want to have somebody where you are said as, okay, this guy is going to be my link to travel abroad and have a better life. Now, see, the problem here is the motive, the intention why you got married, why you got into that relationship in the first place. Before I talk about marriage, why you got into that relationship, and now how are you going to stay true when you know it's not true? Again, even if he's not married now, even if he's not married, maybe he had divorced before marrying you, and then it's okay, I'm going to spend some time to make my papers and all that before you join me in abroad. Now, the question is, for a girl like this, it's taking 2-3 years. How is it going to be? So how is it going to be? Of course, the lady is going to circumstances, pressure, and incidentally, this girl is a beautiful girl, okay? And maybe the guy is also a handsome guy, he's a cute guy over there. Who told you they are not? No. Don't even imagine what goes out there in the Western world. We dress decent here, there they don't dress, and they are bold, they are unabashedly come to you and say, come on, man, can I hang out with you? Can I, there women can propose. You see it on the TV, you see it on the commercial, you see it on this, they talk to you boldly, they see them, people make advances to you in the office, all kinds of things. So how do you stay true in a world that is like this? And so this girl is here now, and the spouse is in abroad and comes back after 2-3 weeks. I'll never forget one time I went to minister to a lady, and she invited me over to her place, and many years ago. That should be almost like 20 years ago. So when I got to a place, and I saw a souvenir, it was a calendar they used in marrying, in their marriage, this thing, and I saw where she wrote on that place, now I'm no longer alone. I quickly asked her, where's your husband? Because I thought her husband was at home, because she had told me she's a married person. So when I got there, I realized her husband was not there. So the husband was, she was the only one in the house. So, but when I saw the souvenir, and I made observations, just take a look around the house, and I asked her, where's your husband? She said, her husband is in Germany. I just quickly retorted to her. I said, now you are really alone. Now you are really alone. So how can you write, I'm no longer alone? This man comes back once in a year, and is going to spend like a month with you, and after that she's gone. For the rest of the 9 months, if you're pregnant, you're going to deal with it all by yourself alone. Everything is a phone talk. Not even now that you have video call, because by that 2000 there's no video call. Those kind of stuff that we use the phone was not there. And so how are you going to deal with it? A woman that started living with somebody, you know, and got excited and started sleeping with a guy, and this is my own husband, and this is mine. And then after a while, this guy sleeps off and, you know, gets into the plane, and off he goes. And again, dealing with the issue that women believe now that, you know, men are polygamous in nature. So what will be running through the mind of this lady, that her husband is over there, and you know that possibly he's going to hang out with somebody and all that. Now, to be honest, I have had cases that ladies brought to me, and they told me, said, this guy was talking with me in marriage, but sometimes I call him, he's not able to pick my call, and it's not his work hours. In fact, sometimes they switch off on me, or so that they tell me that I'll call you back, and I can sense that he's talking with someone. And I've seen relationship crash on this very situation. This thing that I just said now, is I think he's keeping someone there. And why does he still want me? Obviously, this person is looking for true love. But it's unfortunate. The guy is going to come back and say, no, I was so and so place, and that was why I couldn't take the call. Please, please. But why are you so this about it? You know, come on. Some can be boldly tell you, come on, it's not only you. You just go to play your game. If you win, fine. Okay? You don't expect me to just stay that way. And they tell you, you know, straightforward, straight up. I said, you know, you don't expect me to be that way. You know, we have seen a very serious transformation and crazy transformation, not to the positive, you know, spiraling downward and to decadence in our world today. And again, with the emergence of the internet, social media that put the world on a glove, so you can't interface and interact with other cultures, which is on a high supersonic speed to you know, to destruction. So what has happened is that, you know, because of all this myriad of things that is going on. Now, remember, we have raised an issue. For instance, someone is out there and someone is here, and the challenge and the pressure, even if the girl wants to remain true, the challenge and pressure that's going to be coming on her. What are the times she feels lonely? What's the time she wants somebody to talk to, somebody to hold her, somebody to talk to him, somebody to touch her, somebody to encourage her, and you are not there? And probably because of, again, time difference, the time zone difference, and she calls, you're not available. What does she do? Yeah. How's she going to deal with it? Now, all right, this is pressure. And one guy comes along and says, well, come on, I could be of help. And maybe she's going through financial stress and you're not able to, you know, the guy that married her is not so strong there, money is not coming. And one handsome guy who had just made money here, or not even handsome, they don't need to be handsome now, okay? He just has a car that can be, you know, hey, what do you do? These are real issues that we need to talk about. And how do you maintain true love in situations like this? I like your comments, I like your questions, I like what are your thoughts about this, because certainly this is not going to be end of this. We're going to do this in series, this particular subject that I raised now. And I think it's one of the things we need to talk about in the Valentine, because, you know, there's this madness, this in the air, love. The point is that there's no love is game. It seems to me that day there's more people to cheat than to have to talk about love, really. That day should be called the peak game. It should be renamed now, Cheating Day, not Lovers Day. Because that's quite different from what St. Valentine died for, you know. Okay, so back to what we're saying here. Okay, this lady was here, the other guy was there. Now, how are you sure the guy is not making out at least once in a while? Do you know? Some ladies have even heard, it's okay, he can make out once in a while. You know, guys cannot stay long without anybody. They have also accepted the situation. And because there is a passive and sometimes clear acceptance that, well, men are polygamous, there's nothing he can do about, am I there? What if he goes, is hot? What will he do? Oh, come on, he may need to have, when he comes back, we can take on. If I'm there, that's fine. But what about you? Well, that's it. You know, when you begin to gradually accept this other one, somehow you begin to accept the other one too. And I can assure you, what keeps a lot of people a bit on check, if at all they are really on check. When I mean on check, I mean not going at all out wild, is religion. But even now, the religion is losing its hold on people. Why? Because of the problems of the men of God too. The pastors are helping out. And priests are also helping out. Another madness. You know, this is because I have also seen cases where it was the pastors who introduced this, and the priests who introduced. So you see that the ministers are introducing and say, well, you can't just continue being like this. I don't know where they quote from the scripture, but then, you know, this is for those who their spouse is out there. All right, what of those who their spouse is here? They still cheat. The issue of side chick now on social media everywhere is now big news. It's nothing normal. Nobody cares about it. I never forget one woman, you know, she'll come to me, she'll cry and cry because the husband is keeping, oh, jeez. Do you know that some women can even manage one side chick? Their problem now is that their husband cannot maintain one side chick. A big issue. A big issue. You may say, oh, is it that the men go after that? No, 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 no. I never forget. That's 2005. I was going to set up a youth ministry in one secondary school like that. You can imagine that the principal of the school said to me, no, objected, because it's a girls' school. You know, we had these youth ministries, you know, setting up charismatic groups in different schools, which I did in those days. And while I was doing that, I remember in a particular school, I wouldn't want to name the school, but the principal objected and told me that you might just start talking to my children and go after them now. I said, no, come on, I left university, I've seen a whole lot. The ones in school, if I'm after that, that should be enough for me. And other places will go. So what should I come to these kids that I want to help out? And the woman looked at me and saw how you know, maybe how innocent I sounded. And and she looked at me, no, he said, no, what? I said, no, he said, if you are not going after them, my kids will start going after you, and only very few men can resist it. So the problem now is this, it's not just that the men may want to stay on their own, but the girls come after them, make passes, make advances to them. And right now, you know, come on, do you remember the issues of sugar mommy? This is a big mamas, you know, squeezing life out of these young boys. You know, whether is it squeezing or juicing life out of them? I don't understand which one. Because sometimes they need to have some guys, some of these young boys to make, and they buy cars for them, they take them out of the country, they fly them, you know, well, now that's okay. You also find the young girls. These young children now go for the men. Not even the men going for them. The young kids now make advances to you cannot say elderly, because now the whole thing, age has now is completely gone. Because, well, you see a 70-year-old man answering babe, you know, to a 13-year-old girl. So a 70-year-old man who has finished raising his children, or probably the children are in the university, and is going after a young girl that's in secondary school, or maybe a girl that is in year 1. True love? Well, at this point, the wife might be true. Maybe it wasn't true when they were younger, but now he's older, so she doesn't want that game again. She's tired, and they just want to stay and see her children through. And we think about more family, and, you know, women get to become a little bit more religious as they get older. But the man now is beginning to flesh. What is exactly the reason why this man is doing this? Well, that's why ladies say men are polygamous in nature. How can a 70-year-old man be still active, going around looking for small children? You hear news of many of them died. 80-something died on top of a girl in a hotel. You'll be wondering in your mind, what exactly are they looking for? Is it not the same thing they found here that they found in their wife? Is it a different thing? No, it's a fantasy. It's something that's gone in the head. The narrative that the devil has pushed across, that have even made people not to believe in themselves, not to destroy themselves. They have taken it as a norm, so we have to play it that way. It's like a script. We have to play it out that it's not possible. You can't keep to one woman. So true love does not really exist. And with someone can argue that, but it does exist. It happened in the ancient times. It existed that time, and will still exist and continue to exist. And I'll tell you this story, and a true life story. A doctor friend of mine went out to a restaurant, and they were eating, and he said to me, "Do you know?" A discussion came, both the women and the men that were there, that you can't find any man who does not cheat on his spouse, whether men or women. That's not true. It's not possible. And he looked at the women that were there. They are supposedly married, and then he looked at them, and they all concord to that very, some kind of theory, and everybody agreed. And then he said he didn't know when he angrily hit his hand on the table and said, "If all of you here agree that that is it, I don't agree to it, because I am one that keeps to my wife." It's a one lady that he assumed is married said, "Ah, doctor, you too? Are you sure?" And it's like everybody's amazed and surprised. "Are you from Venus?" I think Venus is even the planet of love. I think maybe the guy came from Pluto. And I couldn't. I guess there is a problem in definition of love also. I talked about motive, I talked about circumstances and situation that are creating this, and I talked about a narrative, I talked about the cultural issue, I talked about finances, money issue, because people dream of a better life. But you see, even whether you dream of a better life and all of that, the point is that what value are you operating on? The point is that it seems as if that culture have lost our culture has lost those values that was built based on Judeo-Christian principles. Even before Christianity came to our part of the world, our people still could marry many wives, but still we cherish some level of commitment, some level of remaining true and steadfast to your spouse. Those days people can marry 2 or 3. It would be because of children, maybe having more children or not having child. That's another thing again to talk about. Is it possible? If you love this lady or love this man so much, is it because of child that you can leave him and cheat on him? What of those who cheated on that to just make sure that their husband has a child? They cheated on him, they wouldn't want to tell him. They did it because they want him to have a child. They went outside and got pregnant. Do you consider that true love? Come on, there are so much things to talk about in all of this. Once again, I like your comments, I like your thoughts, I like your questions, and certainly this is not the end, but this is the beginning of this series. We are going to talk about it until and after Valentine, because we need to get this thing straight. There's this madness. So, I was talking about the issue of, values. The cultural values are gone. We are losing it. We are losing it. The narrative is so strong. The narrative is so strong. Finance can shake love. And people tell you, well, love is good, but money is the oil for love. So if you don't have the oil, it might as well start having friction. A beautiful woman needs to be maintained, and that's it. What of those who have money? They still maintain them and they still cheat. So what exactly is that? What exactly is the problem? Wow. hardly can see this, please. How what? How do you bring back fire in a marriage that has lost its fire? Ooh. How do you get fire? How do you get back the fire in a marriage that lost its own romance? Well, that's a beautiful question. I think I would love to answer these questions, more of them in our next episode. But let me just give you an encouraging word here. First of all, discover why you left. What killed the fire in the first place? Because if you don't address the root cause of that problem, and what actually attracted you to this person, why did you marry this person in the first place? So you need to re-examine your motive and then look at what have you been allowing to get into, and get into you. Have you been allowing a wrong narrative? Have you been following what is going on in the trend on the social media, what friends are telling you, people, what you see on the movie, the African magic, all kinds of stuff. So you need to re-examine where exactly did you left, and you need to go back to it and think about it for a moment and look at what exactly also sparked that fire in you for this spouse of yours in the beginning. And then go back and do what this lady did. I've said to you, love unexpressed is difficult to really. You've got to go back and have an honest expression and find out the good things, because you see, there is something that usually initially spark off that in you. Find that out and then give it life, maintain it, encourage it, begin to realize, analyze what exactly is that you're looking for. That will help you to begin to put yourself together one more time. Again, you must realize something about love. If you don't fan it into flame, it doesn't blow. It doesn't grow. In other words, even if the spark starts, you've got to consciously, intentionally make choice to maintain it, to keep the fire burning. I don't know if you get what I said now. If you love a guy and you love a friend and you guys got into dating or loving or marriage, you have the responsibility to maintain that love, to do those things that will make that love to grow. If you don't do it, it's going to die. Natural with every fire that you set up, after a while they are going to die. That wood, whatever that is fuel that is filling it, at some point it will be consumed, and it's going to go. So you've got to have that sense of responsibility to continue. That might be taking out time to spend time to talk together, to have some time to spend time together, to talk and do some beautiful things, hang out and have some fun and all of that. Create time, because again, it is talk. Every relationship dies without communication. I think the first problem is when you begin to talk less. That girl in Song of Songs says, I am not going to rest. I'm not going to sleep. I'm not going to miss this night without him being on the bed. I am going to go out in the street, in the places, everywhere in the eatery until I find him and I take him home. He didn't say I'm going to bust his head and bust his mouth and his eyes with bottles and all that. I'm going to hold him and take him to my bed, to take him to my chamber. Whoa, what's going to happen when they get back to the house? Now, all of those beautiful things are going to happen. But you see, I'm not going. See, today I will embarrass him. No, he's going to go away the more. We'll talk about all that, okay? We've talked about motive, and even to explore the motive issue is a whole lot to deal with. I just raised all this, sparked it up a bit today so that we can spark up all of this, so that we can but again, is an exciting subject to deal with, and I want to wind up today with this: does true love exist? If you do believe, I want to have your comments and I want to have your questions. If you have listened through my discuss the points I've raised, the issues of motive, the issues of pressure, circumstances, the issues that affect us because of media, the projections on the media, the cultural backgrounds and all of that, the values that we are losing because there's no more strong preaching on it, even from the pulpit. There's no more strong teachings because even some of the ministers are having problems with all of these kind of things. These are the issues that are going on. The younger generation is having problems with this because also what they watch, what they see, what they hear is also very, very unimaginable where their mind is going. And you must realize that there's also a strategic attack of the devil on the institution of marriage. And so how it can be killed is to destroy the real meaning of love, and so that it does not exist. Everything is a game. And that game is one thing: whatever makes you happy, go for it. If it makes you happy, if it makes you comfortable, it's about you and you alone. It's a very terrible philosophy. It is the heart of secular humanism, and it has been propagated from different platforms all over. No matter how it is quoted, packaged, and sold to people, it's just one simple thing: you and you alone. So people bring this attitude to marriage, bring this attitude into their marriage, bring all that into everything. So people are no longer disciplined and that's self-restraint, and do not exercise that anymore. Where they say, "Oh no, I think all that is flashy, is okay, but I think I have somebody that I love and somebody who is true to me." The one thing people don't understand, or people, you see, people are not afraid that you cheat on them. That's even the worst part of it. People know that it's a game they are playing, and they expect you that is playing the game to play the same way. For them, they come for money. Once they got the money, other girls can have theirs, or other men can have theirs. The only point is I got my own chunk of it, and I have the phone. I had the phone when I had it, when I wanted to have it. You see some girls, when they look at it, it's okay, man, I just want to have fun. And they go for any other guy who they feel they're attracted to. They just have the phone, and then they dump the guy, they move on too. They are not committed to it. You know what it means? I'll conclude with this. The Bible talks about in the last days, and this is what Paul said, and I want to close with that. Second Timothy chapter 3 verse 1. This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, basically. Covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers. That's it. That's it. They are going to be lovers of themselves. No more. No more. Even that verse suggests that in the last days, gayism will increase. Do you know today that some people favor gay because the failure of women, the heartbreak and the pain that women had given to men, especially the issue of child support and abandon you in the marriage and take you to court and abuse you and all kinds of. So men now believe that it's better to marry men. They just want to suffer in the hands of women. All kinds of stuff. But that's not what God has for us. God created us to exhibit true love, and that's why it's in that place, in that song of songs. Why? Love is life. In true love, you find fulfillment, you find life, you find health, you find the most incredible joy unimaginable. Dear friend, we wind up here today. As I said, leave your comments, your questions, and we'll take it from there in our next episode. Thank you, and bye for now.